way, depending on how we look, how we act, and it's almost like we're set up partly, you know. And so we have to, we're none of us are completely free naturally, and we have to kind of learn to free ourselves. Some people are more privileged than others, but we all have some label put on us.
Yeah. In my mind, I always think all the biggest impact we can have is just being the voice of reason in a society that our society is an innate limb society.
And how
Sure
to
isn't right now.
Sure isn't right now.
When to accept and when to allow and when to let go.
Yeah,
because there are so many labels put on us.
Yeah.
It's our own responsibility to choose, are we going to take that on?
Yeah.
Or are we going to let it go?
Yeah, it's like that quote, stand guard fearlessly at the door of your mind.
Mm.
I don't mean to repeat it so much, it's just such a good quote. What do you want to allow in? Because you get to choose. You can reject all labels. Okay. So what was the sutra again?
At other times, assume the form of the mental modifications.
Okay. What was it one more time?
At other times, assume the forms of the mental modifications.
And what does that mean to you? Like in one sentence. Why is it powerful to you? And it's hard to put in one sentence because there's so many sentences that go in with it.
I get to choose what part of my mind to reflect.
Okay. So without looking at the book, what was that again?
I get to choose what part of my mind to reflect.
Okay. And what was the actual sutra? Starts with at other times.
At other times, assume mental modifications.
Assume the forms.
Assume the forms.
The mental
of
modifications.
modifications.
Okay. And what was the sentence that you said after that? I get to choose.
I get to choose what I reflect, what part of the mind I reflect.
Choose what part of the mind you reflect.
I don't know if that's what I said.
I don't think that's what you said. I get to choose the reflection. Play around with one that you like. Because when you repeat it and when you want to be able to have like one sentence that gets to the core of why you resonate with it, do you know what I mean? That'll help you memorize it.
I don't know yet. I think I have to munch
Okay.
on it because I feel like this, the way it's worded, it's almost, the way it's worded, it sounds like a prompt, like a demand.
Yeah, it does.
Like you should do this.
Yeah,
or,
it's like wait. It's not at all though.
But it's not when the reflection about it. That's why actually the way this okay, I think I want to learn the Sanskrit because the Sanskrit resonates with me more because it says modifications assume form. No, that's the same thing.
Let's see.
What if we read the English versions of the 3 sutras leading up to it?
To see if,
first?
yeah.
Yeah, because sometimes it is. That's why I was a little bit when you said it's kind of an open it and.
You do have to read before and after. They're not take alone. However, once you've read it all, you can go in and pick one at a time. Yeah, I should have prefaced it with you have had to have read it first.
Okay, yeah.
Because otherwise you're right,
Totally
it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So the instruction of yoga begins to help you learn to practice. The restraint of the mind is yoga. So we are hoping to achieve the restraint of mental modifications. We're hoping to find a calm, clear reflection of our mind so that we can achieve peace and bliss. The entire world is your projection. So you decide what you believe. You have control over everything through your thoughts. So then the self abides in its own nature. So that's separating your behavior with the thought process. So separating itself, beyond that is your true self. That one is a fun one. At other times, the self appears to assume the forms of the mental modification. So be mindful that your self can be confused with identifications that are meaningless. You are not a man or a woman. It doesn't matter. When you get down to the pure seed of it all, there's no difference between you or me. We can find unity among everything when we calm our minds. And sometimes you need to correct your vision. So when you correct what's happening inside, let go of the I'm, let go of that we are separate, you can see things clearly for what they truly are. That's why we should always keep ourselves free from the wrong identification. So instead of at other times the self appears to assume the forms of the mental modifications, it's more we should always keep ourselves free from wrong mental modifications, from wrong identifications, because it's those identifications that are what cause us to separate ourselves from the world. Does that make more sense when we put it into context or no? A little bit? I like how Sutra 2 is you've reached the goal of yoga if you can just restrain. It's telling you right off the bat. By the way, I'm going to tell you how to practice yoga, not just theoretically. This is an actual practical application of how to meditate, and you're going to use yoga through it. By the way, as soon as you've done this, you're good. This is yoga. So he gives you, he lays it out very clearly, and then he gives you instructions.
Yeah, and then the rest of them only explain this one.
Yeah, the rest of them are explaining but how does one yoga? But how do we do that? And we separate it into smaller. Okay, so do you want more time to think about that? You can have more time, but what was the actual sutra?
I have to write things and
Okay.
index cards. I can't
You
memorize
like-
things in
In the 1 second?
No.
Yeah, so you're not alone. So at other times, the self appears to assume the forms of the mental modifications. Give yourself permission to paraphrase it, because this does seem a little on the negative side, if there's a way to positively paraphrase it so that you can remember it. And if you ever repeat it, just say, this is paraphrasing Sutra 4.
To me, it feels a little, it can be taken positively because the mind is only appearing to assume those things, like you were saying. You know, we're not actually those things.
Yeah.
But if
Yes.
we're disorganized or stressed or pissed off, you know, like we aren't actually those things. It's just an appearance of it.
Yeah.
Because of the modification that's come into our mind, whatever that obstacle or disturbance is, which will go away. with
I just
yoga
feel like it
and
doesn't clearly
concentration.
say don't allow that to. You know, it's just missing the instruction. Like it's appearing that way, but by the way, we don't want to worry about that. You know, I feel like it's missing the second step. It's like first step, the mind does this. Second step, let's make sure the mind doesn't do this.
Okay, I think, you know how you've taught us to use positive language, so instead of
Don't do this.
I think instead of don't assume those roles, I think a more empowering way is you have the power to let go of the
Identifications.
things that have that divide you.
Yeah, you have the power to let go of the things that divide you because we are all together. Yeah, that's beautiful. I love that. Did you hear that? They heard it. You have the power. And anytime you paraphrase the sutra, I might just say, that's Sutra 4. Just so people can look it up, because sometimes it'll bring them to be inspired to want to learn more. So if you remember the sutra, otherwise you know what it's like to search through the book to try to find one exact phrase. It's pretty hard. Okay. Who is next?
I'll do it.
Okay.
So it's Sutra 1.7. The sources of right knowledge are direct perception, interference, and scriptural testimony. Inference, not interference.
Oh, I was like, I don't remember
Yeah,
that
no,
one.
not interference. Inference.
Direct perception, inference, and scriptural testimony. Okay.
What number is this?
7.
7. Oh.
So why did you choose that one? That seems like a very you.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what I should believe and why.
Yeah. So going to the source then.
Yeah. I'm just thinking that.
Yeah.
Thinking that.
Teacher training and training in general is a good time to think about that,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, because what is true and who is it coming from? Yeah, I liked when in that section he talks about who's your teacher, who's their teacher, who's their teacher, who's their teacher, who's their teacher, but really who's their teacher? Like, where does it stem
Yeah.
from?
And wherever
'Cause it's
you go,
important.
if it's true, it should be the same.
Yeah, and why?
Yep. The
Yeah.
essence of any of the scriptures
Yeah.
should be the same. If you told me something, I should go and compare and
Yeah.
see if it is true, and they should be in line.
Yeah. I would venture to say that most of the principles you're learning in this teacher training come directly from the way that I live, from the Yoga Sutras, from Patanjali Maharishi.
Yes.
Just FYI. Okay.
I also like when they're in the sutra it talks about how we can't just throw everything into one garbage pail.
Oh yeah, me too. That really helped to system
Sort it.
to separate. Yeah, because you're right. You wouldn't just put your recycling in the garbage. I think it almost makes me feel like I wish we all had a psychology degree though, because it gets into the point where I'm like, well, what are the containers? Because for you they might be different. I might just have 2. I might have 30. Like I wanted to know more about that. I was like, continue, sir.
Yeah.
What else?
Yeah.
What kind of pails should I have and how big should they be? And I feel like there's a whole meditation in there. Just writing down your thoughts, every single thought that comes into your mind for 5 minutes, and then categorizing them, and then deciding which categories that you'd like to keep and which categories you'd like to move on.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I mentioned before that I've been working through that KonMari, the
Yeah.
changing magic of tidying up, and that's her whole thing. Is you group
Categories.
things by categories. You organize your house by categories, not by room. Like you collect like all of your clothes out of every corner of your house into one space, and then decide if you love it or you don't, and thank it for its time in your life. Just let it go. And so,
Like that with thoughts. You can do that with thoughts.
yeah, exactly. And I feel like that's what
It might not.
saying.
It might not work. I feel like sometimes it's you also still have to experience your life though, because sometimes you'll say, okay, I'm ready to forgive this person, moving on, but you're not actually. It's just a word. It has to be followed up with the action.
Yeah.
You know. So as long as you honor your processes without brushing things aside just for the sake of doing the process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the part where he talks about feeding the child.
Me too.
It was awesome.
It was so good. I was like, thank you. I'm having a hard time with that.
Wait, what part?
Oh, dividing things and then you divide it
Dividing
again.
things
I don't think it's
like
like sutra.
The child says, "I'm not hungry." That's
Oh, yeah, that was cute.
that was great.
Yeah.
That's how you
Really
feed a
helpful.
child. Oh yeah, it is the sutra.
I was trying to figure out how we can apply that into our class, but I couldn't think of a way. Like, okay, you're here for a minute. Well, we're only halfway through. And I'm like, wait, that's not.
Yeah.
Here, we'll put part of it over here for later.
Yeah, maybe
No,
we'll do
that's
15
totally-
seconds later. Maybe we'll do 7 seconds later. Like, how could we? What did you think?
Because I think you tricked me into holding a pose longer when you tell me I'm more than halfway done. So I'm like,
Because we're not counting.
Yeah.
We don't know.
oh, and if you weren't telling me that, I would have dropped to my knees already.
Yeah, but you helped too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, there you go. Who knew? Artie was doing it.
The only other bit that really got me out of
Yeah.
that was for the satisfaction of the mind, we were trying to analyze how many kinds of thoughts there are.
Mm.
Yeah.
The mind
So-
wants to know itself. I mean, that's why we're constantly flipping and turning through things.
Yeah. What kinds of thoughts? See, that makes me think of the buckets. I'm like, how many kinds are there?
Yeah.
Are they?
Imagine
Is
it
it good
differs.
or bad? Like, is it a good bucket and a bad bucket, and within the buckets there's separators? I don't know.
Pain or painless.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's right. He says this, you could do the same thing with your mind and your thoughts. You can say, okay, these are thoughts I don't need to hold on to them anymore. These are the ones I'm going to keep. So you're instead. I don't know if
Exactly, yeah.
was it this sutra?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you can either hold on to them. I think once you identify it, it's easier to let it go or hold. It's impossible not to. I think it's necessary to identify it before you decide whether or not it served its purpose. It's like your clothes.
Yep.
You wouldn't just throw away all the clothes or donate all the clothes. You would have to look at each one and say, no, I love this, or no, I don't love this.
Yeah, because he said, we can't just throw everything into one pail, and then later says you have to sort it so that later on it will be easier to dispose of. So that makes me think like
Layers.
like you were saying,
Step one.
there was another, what, you didn't finish this thought because what is this later disposing of that you're speaking of? What are we doing like the throwing it into the garbage pail is one act, but then carrying it to
The car to donate is another act, and then driving it there is another act.
yeah. So yeah, I feel like I need more too.
Yeah, I'm like,
said.
moving
What
on. What's
do you
the
mean?
next?
Wait,
Well, in my mind, I think of the negative thoughts that I want to let go of. It's not as easy as letting go of a negative thought. I can categorize it for days. There's work that needs to be done. So in my mind, I'm like, it's not all there. It's a good basis, I think.
Yes.
I'd like to talk to my therapist about it. I feel like it's a really
He
good
goes on to
tool.
say that we, like you said, we have to sort like our clothes.
Yeah.
We wouldn't just want to like burn them all.
I like how we're progressing. We're like, we're going to throw them away. We're going to burn them. We're just going
Oh,
to...
and I hate one. I want one.
Yeah, there you go. That's where that came from.
That we have some clinging.
Yeah.
Still holding on to those things.
Yeah.
And that's okay. But the expectation is to not sit in meditation and all of a sudden be free of all this stuff.
Yeah.
We have to work through our relationships with them. And that's okay. I
Yeah.
think
That's a
what he's
part of
saying.
it, too.
Yeah, and it's okay.
Well, it's that saying, recognizing that you have a problem is the first step.
Yeah.
So recognizing that I'm still clinging to that pair of pants that we talked about before teacher training started. They're still on my table. I'm going to fix them maybe.
Do it. You'll be so proud of yourself.
I know, I will be.
You'll feel so good.
If I wear turquoise pants, I need an applause because I've been holding on to them for months and there's a hole right in the ground. Excuse me, that was not to clear the air. Yeah, that's what was the sutra again?
The sources of right knowledge are direct perception, inference, and scriptural testimony.
I love that. It kind of takes away the power of everything that is in those things.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're like, I don't care. It's gossip, so I don't care.
Yeah.
It's not, I'm not going, I know that right knowledge comes from the person, comes from my own gut and intuition, or comes from books like this. And anything else, I don't need to clutter my mind with. It's definitely a very straightforward way of saying this is what I want to allow into my brain and this is what I'm not allowing into my brain.
Yeah.
What was that quote again?
The sources of right knowledge are direct perception, inference, and scriptural testimony.
Okay, and then one more time.
The sources of right knowledge are direct perception, inference, and scriptural testimony.
Okay. And I feel like if you could explain that in one sentence, why it's the most impactful to you, what would it be?
What was the first thing I said? I keep figuring out what to believe and why.
Helps you figure out what to believe and why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's like real empowering on an individual level. I think that we're disempowered to believe in our own intuition, our own perceptions of things,
Yeah.
and we get ourselves into a lot of trouble.
Or to question it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't question your gut. Whenever somebody is questioning, I'm like, do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, stop questioning yourself. I like to ask people questions and see what their response is. So when I asked you all last week, what does stretch mean? The responses were very like, I don't know, questioning. Like, I think it's this. And then I asked some men, not that it's a man and woman thing. I did a little very small test. Some men, and they confidently, very incorrectly spewed forth knowledge that was not right. But they did it with confidence. It was like, oh, it's a thing where you lengthen the, and again, it's not a men and women thing. It was just the difference. It was a different kind of people. Like, we're in a space where we're questioning things all the time, and you're supposed to question everything. So it made me laugh, though, that
There is a systemic cultural thing going on there.
yeah, I don't want to
Gender.
categorize all men into it. It's
No,
just the men that
yes.
I asked were confidently spewing forth falsities, and it made me laugh. I was like, this is very interesting. Okay. So, and what sutra number was that?
7.
Okay, cool. So let's work on memorizing that.
7.
Yeah. Or at least holding on to it, write a post-it note. You don't have to memorize it word for word, but just see what that means for you this week or this month or whenever you want to let it go, let it go. If it's today and you're over it, move on.
I think your summary of it is a really powerful explanation of why we're all here, to figure out
Yeah.
what we believe and why. I mean,
Yeah.
why else do you come to teacher training?
That's
Yeah.
true.
To make money? Is anyone here to make money?
Yeah,
Probably
because
not.
I hate to break it to you, but
What'd you say?
I hate to break it to you,
Oh,
but
God.
this isn't the path of getting rich. I mean, for some, if that's your goal, go for it, maybe. But most of us, it's a service. It's an act of selfless service.
And to
Yeah.
figure out what we believe and why.
Yeah, and then to help other people also figure out what they believe and why. Not to tell people what to believe and why, just to help them figure it out. Okay. Kim and Judy, would you like to participate?
Sure.
Do you have one chosen? Okay.
I do. Number 27.
27.
The word expressive of Isvarna is the mystic sound Om. Om is God's name as well as born.
Yeah. I love the description of Om here. 27, not 17.
Om represents God in the fullest sense. It has the power to create everything. I love that.
Yeah, totally.
I love that it belongs to the entire universe. And he also says here, Satchidananda, truth is one, seers express it in many ways. It's the same thing he says in earlier, truth is one, path through many. All throughout, he's consistently throughout the book saying, and Patanjali saying, there is one seed, but everything else, we're just all different representations of the same thing.
Yes.
So the word expressive of, can we say Ishvara Pranidhana?
Pranidhana.
That was a lot. I should have broken it down. Let's call it Ishvara
Ishvara.
Pranidhana.
Pranidhana.
Ishvara Pranidhana.
Ishvara. Pranidhana.
Yeah. So it's one of the 8 limbs. We'll talk about it later. So Ishvara Pranidhana is surrender to your higher power or surrender to God. I usually say surrender to your higher power if you have one, just to not alienate anyone who might be figuring that out.
That's hard because sometimes you say God, people don't believe in God, get
Yeah.
upset. And sometimes you say higher power, people are like, why don't you say God?
Exactly.
God.
Yeah.
Well, and the looks that you get when you say higher power, if you have one, are like, who are you saying that to? And I'm like,
Don't you have a higher power?
exactly. There's not, that's, I find the way that it works for me to say it. I think you'll find a way to, but yeah, Ishvara Pranidhana is surrender to your higher power. It's one of Patanjali's 8 limbs. So he's talking about it here to preface it for later. So
The guru of gurus.
why do you love this so much? What stuck out to you?
Well, I mean, I love doing Om. I just love
Yeah,
the vibration and the
yeah.
resonance, and it's just, it's amazing.
Yeah.
I
Does
just-
Emma like it when you Om?
She'd probably lick my face or try to bite me. I
Yeah.
haven't tried Oming with her.
Oh, it's so much. I won't tell you what my dogs do, but
Okay.
I'll try it
I'd love to
tonight.
know. Same.
Um,
They respond well.
Yeah. But I just love that that if you hum, it's as if you were trying to create God or bring God into you. There's no need to create God, but just to feel God in you. And I'm not super religious, just like that song. I'm a disciple, but I don't read the Bible, but I do respect an infinite source and the seed of creation, and
Yeah.
I just see a lot of beauty in this in a really simple way.
Okay.
And I think what I love about it is that you can be in different places. Like we love to do Om or meditate, and some people are disconnected from that.
Yeah.
But we all have a connectedness, and they don't even know it
Yeah.
in some ways. And so Om in yoga, I think the people that are maybe a little bit put off by it or not really quite sure are the ones that are really feeling the vibration and the connection the most.
Yeah.
And so I just love the feeling after class.
Yeah.
There's a couple classes where we finish with Om,
Mm-hmm.
and people walk out and it's amazing just to see how clear they are. It's a great thing. And I need it lately as much
Okay.
as I have going
Yeah.
on. And just with going through my grief and everything, it's just something that's really grounding me.
Yeah. Well, what does Patanjali say? Meditate on one single focus, and that's the key. Meditate on this or this or this or this or anything else that you feel is elevating.
Sure.
And Om is
Yes.
I don't like to use the word perfect, but it's a pretty perfect thing to meditate
Well,
on.
it's so clear and
It
No,
is.
it is. And when we did Om last week together, that was really perfect.
Yeah. The 3 ohms. The one
I
3,
love
yeah.
it, yeah. And
I giggled through the last one because I did not know we were doing 3. But then the makeup ohm was great.
but I like this also says Om is the origin or the seed from which all other sounds and words come.
Yeah, that's really cool. It's powerful.
And after the verbal sound ends, there's still a vibration. That is the unspoken or the anahata sound, which is always in you.
So say anahata.
Anahata.
So that's unstruck.
I love
Unstruck.
that.
That's your heart chakra, your anahata.
There is always a sound vibration in you that can never be destroyed. And then, yeah, it talks about japa, about repeat, ajapa, which is unrepeated, or japa, which is repetition.
Yeah. A japa. Japa.
It's never ending.
It's never ending. Yeah, I think when I think of that sound that never ends, to me it's a recycling thing. Because even when I am done, my body will feed other, and then that will continue
Oh,
in
that's
other creatures. So it's no matter what, we're all just recycled bits of each other.
And there were a couple others that resonated with me, but for some reason
That
this
one?
just stuck to the wall. a
Om
bit
is
more. Yeah.
your heart needs some om right now. Okay.
So I love it.
Okay. And what number was it again?
27.
Okay. And what was it again?
The word expressive of Ishvara is the mystic sound Om. Om is God's name as well as form.
Okay. Can we say it 2 more times, please?
The word expressive of Ishvara is the mystic sound Om. Om is God's name as well as form. The word expressive of Ishvara is the mystic sound Om. Om is God's name as well as form.
Thank you. Okay. Kim, do you have a favorite?
I do, but it kind of fell into the center of 3, which dealt
Ooh.
with practice.
Mm.
And it talked about kind of really how to make your practice pure.
The third one?
Well, there was 12, 13, and 14, and then they went to the little store era. So.
Oh, 12, 13, 14. Yeah. Okay. Which one do you want to pick?
Well, the 13 of these 2, effort towards steadiness of mind is practice.
Yeah.
And, it's basically continuous and earnest and done for a long time.
Yeah.
And I suppose I really got something that appealed to me because my mind is very rarely steady. And
Okay.
when it is, it feels so nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it feels like it's hard to say how it feels like.
Okay.
But
It's like you're ready to hear it, though.
I sometimes see other people around me and see, because my mind always feels like it's got stuff in it.
Okay.
And every once in a while it doesn't. It feels really clean, like there's not, like.
Uncluttered?
Yes.
I love an uncluttered mind.
And so I just have been able to attain that very rarely, so I really appreciate that one.
Are there experiences or environments that you have found that trigger that when you are clear?
Yeah, when I feel in control.
Ooh, okay. So what are you always in control of?
I suppose my eating.
Your what?
My eating.
Your
what I
eating,
eat.
yeah.
You know how incredibly powerful it is because most people do not feel in control of that.
That's true.
Almost everyone does not feel in control of how they eat.
Yeah, I do not always feel in
No, I
control
don't.
of how I eat.
Well,
Because
that's-
nachos is a thing.
It is.
Vegan nachos.
Well, I'm not 100% in control, but
What?
the digestive system, like I said, it's, anything from personal experience to professional experience is all dealt with eating the digestive system.
Yeah, so you're super grounded in that.
I love to talk to people about that, but I realize that I have to wait until they ask me.
Yeah.
Because if not, I'm just giving advice, which they might not give one. But one of the tortures for me is after I completed my nutrition degree, I worked in a bank, and the person facing away from the other way read all these populist diet magazines, and she was basically talking to everyone in the office about
it.
And it's like, I just haven't put up with it.
I often find the least valuable resources tend to be the loudest.
Yes.
I don't. I tried. I was trying to be diplomatic about it.
What did you say?
That was a nice way to say that.
Well, and it's a good way. It's a good reminder for me if I feel I'm talking a lot about something. I internalize it. I'm like, all right, where is this coming? Do you know what you're talking about, or are you just talking? You know what else you're always in control of in every single moment of your life? Your breath.
Mm.
So maybe reminding yourself that you are in control
Yes.
of each and every breath, because you have that. That tool is there all the time. Okay.
And it's
So-
pretty awesome that that's also your life force.
Yeah, it's literally oxygenating your cells. Yeah, it's not a small thing at all. Sometimes people are like, you're going to focus on your breath over and over again in a yoga class. I'm like, yeah, it is
All
the
day
thing
long.
that allows you to live. Each and every moment you get an opportunity to be grateful that for this breath and for this breath and for this. Life is beautiful and it is finite. Our time here is finite. So filling each and every breath up with appreciation and love and doing something is, yes, I can teach every yoga class on breath.
The other thing I like to do is to go like this and just activate your thymus. And that makes you feel alive too. And it calms you down when
Oh,
you're,
I just,
if
this.
you get like a little cray-cray, you can just, just with your
I do
fingertips.
this.
Yeah.
What's your thymus?
Your thymus, it's your thyroid,
Mm.
right here. It's above your high heart. Like right here.
In the center.
Okay. Like right here. Right?
Feels good.
I think it's a thymus.
If it's not a muscle, I don't know what it is.
Thyroid
it
gland?
just-
Your thyroid, thalamus.
Yeah, it's all
Hypothalamus is-
Yeah, I thought the
Good
thalamus is in
memory,
your
I know,
brain,
but-
so I'm not sure.
It's
Um,
just all over the body.
I don't know, but yeah. So
Thyroid gland.
I do
It's
this.
just like the high heart.
Okay. High heart. I like
I
that.
like that too, but
You know what? It's more my low heart.
I
Yeah.
don't think we
It's not
touch
the low
ourselves
heart,
enough.
it's
I think we need to comfort ourselves. You
Oh,
know,
I did not know where you were going with that. Okay.
the high heart.
That's a whole thing I'm really comfortable
No,
with.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. So we don't comfort ourselves
We don't
enough.
comfort ourselves. When she did that, it's like sometimes you ever just rub yourself. It makes yourself feel good.
Just
One time you
touch.
talked about this. When I was
Yeah.
going through my stressful period, if I just went like that, it calmed me down a
Yeah.
lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I understand that that works with animals too, so it's not
Yeah,
just
it
humans.
is. It is that horses, cows,
Yeah.
dogs.
I just think comfort,
yeah.
you know, I just think comfort through touching, either touching yourself or if other with their permission, like massage and stuff,
Yeah.
is just really useful because it's almost. And again, I'm not going there, but it's almost shamed on society. Not just that, but
Yeah.
just touching yourselves in general. I think it's weird or strange, but it's really not.
It's really not. It's very natural. Yeah.
I like this just because it feels like a beat, so it's almost like.
It's interesting what people find comforting. I find if I'm nervous, if you ever see me do this, it's because I'm nervous. Like this is how I ground myself down when I'm feeling nervous. So I'll just
That same
my chest
area.
will be red.
It's that
Yeah,
same
but
area.
it's just the holding over my heartbeat.
Yeah.
Because my heartbeat is very, it's scary and beautiful at the same time. Because it's such a, you have to embrace your mortality when you feel that this beat is happening and this beat is happening. And a lot of emotions come up with that. Okay. So, what was your sutra?
It was number 13. So basically, of these two, and I imagine they're referring to the previous.
They're talking about practice and non-attachment. Of these two,
Steady towards effort towards steadiness of mind is practice.
okay, will you say that one more time?
Sorry.
Will you say that one more time?
Of these two, effort towards steadiness of mind is practice.
Okay.
And I just like the non-attachment is, I think sometimes you just have to non-attach if things are too stressful, but I would rather approach control rather than non-attachment is kind of like saying that's just too much, but I'd rather not have that affect me so much
Okay.
that I didn't have to non-attach. I realize there's some things I'm
Well,
helpless about, but I'd rather just be steady and so I'm not thrown too much by
okay.
outside.
That makes sense. Have you ever thought of non-attachment as a form of control?
I think it can be.
Yeah, it can be. I'm not saying it should be.
I guess
I am just saying it can be.
No, it's
Okay.
just, I'm not saying it's just I think I value
Being in control. Is that what you were saying?
yeah, I just, I guess, I don't know, does that mean practice doesn't work towards non-attachment?
That's not what they were saying. They were saying of non-attachment and practice. Practice is more important. So focus on practicing first. So witnessing your thoughts, analyzing them, compartmentalizing them so that you can have that steady mind. Then non-attachment is just secondary. And all the Buddhists cried. I'm kidding. They didn't cry. Okay. So that was one of book one. I'm going to go over some of the highlights from book one that you can listen to, and you can let them roll right off your back. But we'll do just a couple minutes of some of the, not the key takeaways, but I guess my own perspective of the key takeaways that I want to share with you. And then we will put our things away and get our manuals out and break down some poses. So without practice, nothing can be achieved. Super important. The goal of yoga is to restrain the modifications of your mind. So to analyze, witness, and to figure out how to live in the world and still find a space of steadiness. The entire world is your own projection. So as the mind, so the person. If you feel bound, you are bound. If you feel liberated, you are liberated. So you have control over thought and can change your thought as much as you'd like. You are not bound by the outside world. So you can find freedom within. You are not, your perspective is what you decide your perspective to be, or just what it happens to be based off of the way that you're feeling. There is no difference between you and me. If we could calm our minds and get to the basis of all of these differences, we could find the unity among everything. Yoga is based on self-reformation, self-control, and self-adjustment. I love that phrase. It's like, okay, these are the things. Reform, control, adjust. So we can witness, analyze, figure it out, control our mind, adjust, move on, practice over and over again. Once we remove our genders, jobs, positions, spiritual associations, political parties, all of those, what do we call them, modifications, we are all the same. And through yoga, we become analysts. This itself is yoga, watching our own thoughts and analyzing them. I love that they say like 4 times in the first book, this is yoga. No, this is yoga. No, this is yoga. All important. All of them are important, but watching your own thoughts and analyzing them is yoga. These mental modifications are retrained by practice and non-attachment. Practice and detach yourself from the cause of these modifications. So it's kind of witnessing, it's very much intellectualizing as opposed to experiencing emotions. We're human. We are meant to experience emotions. But when you intellectualize, you can witness, figure out where it came from, maybe let it go, maybe hold on to it, and then move on. Of these two, effort towards steadiness of mind is practice. So continuous practice of witnessing and analyzing your thoughts, fluctuations, modifications, in order to detach from them and gain peace is necessary. So continually practice. And when do we witness and analyze our thoughts? Do you do it during yoga? Yeah, and meditation. So just without assigning good or bad, consider how you feel, notice it, move on. It's like one of the first steps of meditation.
I try not to do it too much during meditation if it's not what I'm trying to focus on.
Yeah. If you're just trying to focus on one thing, yeah. Yeah, it's funny, our mind, all of a sudden it becomes all important to witness and analyze if we're trying to clear our mind. And your mind's like, no, I got this. And you're like, mind, no, we're not doing that right now. But it's like, I have a job. I can do this job. I know what to do.
Come back at 10 o'clock.
Yeah, come back later. This one is Hannah's favorite. Practice becomes firmly grounded when well attended to for a long time, continually, without break, and all earnestness. So have patience, devotion, and faith in yourself. It's not just how long you practice, but the quality. So it's quality and quantity. Do it every day on a regular basis, if even for 5 minutes, and you'll see growth. This is that quote, stand guard fearlessly at the door of your mind. Before the mind is attracted to something it sees or hears, have discrimination to see whether it's good or not for you. So you can decide before you let it in. So you can look at something and go, do I want to let that in? Do I want to let that political TV show into my mind or not? And if you think, you know what, it's not good for me because it's not inference, it's not spiritual text, and it's not direct perception, nope, don't want to let that in, you can move on. We need the practice and the non-attachment. Please hold. 115, he says, practice and non-attachment. Non-attachment is more important. But earlier he said, of practice and non-attachment, effort towards steadiness of mind is practice.
15 says the consciousness of self-mastery is one who is free from craving from objects seen or heard about. Is non-attachment. It's not a very good English sentence.
It's really not a good English sentence.
Where are we?
We are on 113 and 115. So we're trying to, so he said, effort towards steadiness of mind is practice.
These two. And then 15 is the consciousness of self-mastery in one who is free from craving from objects seen or heard about is non-attachment.
So later he says non-attachment is more important. Hold on.
I think he's saying that this is the result.
Yeah, I think it's within each other. It's not two separate things. It's just the way I wrote it was do this, not this. Wait, do this, not this. Nope, that's not right.
I changed my mind.
Yeah. So he's saying effort towards steadiness of mind. So that is the practice. So of non-attachment, there's non-attachment and effort towards steadiness of mind. Those are the two separate things. And he's saying that of the two, non-attachment is more important. So go to 15,
Go to
page
15.
23. It's on the middle of the page. So we need the practice and the non-attachment. Of these two, the non-attachment is the more important.
I'm reading it the other way.
I think you guys are on different pages.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sutra 13.
Oh, no, page 23.
Yeah, so he says that the steadiness is effort towards steady of mind is practice.
Yes.
And then on 15.
If you go to page 23,
Uh-huh.
on the right in the middle, the bottom, it says, so we need the practice and the non-attachment. And of these two, the non-attachment is more important.
Got it.
What's the
So the
conflicting?
There is no conflicting. The way
Okay.
that I wrote it in my notes said
Oh, okay.
practice is more important.
Oh,
Then it said non-attachment is more important. But what he's saying is practice equals effort towards steadiness of mind.
Right.
Non-attachment is more important. They're both important.
They're both.
But the non-attachment, but the way that I
non-attachment is a self-mastery.
non-attachment is yes, and but he's saying non-attachment is more important. I just wanted to make sure I didn't. In my notes, I wrote. Maybe I didn't say it out loud, but I thought I wrote it wrong. Never mind.
I think I understand. They're not kind of direct. Oh.
Oof. I bruised my tailbone pretty bad in a cycling. I can't sit. Okay.
We've been sitting a long time.
I
This
know,
is
we're
a
almost
hard
done
part.
sitting. I know.
Despite the so-called cushioning.
So we need the practice and non-attachment. So we need effort towards steadiness of mind and non-attachment, but non-attachment is more important. Any desire without any personal or selfish motive will never bind you. So it's kind of like what we were talking about yesterday with Hannah, who seems to know a lot about Buddhism, and that's really cool. That if what you have, what you're attached to is selfless, that's okay. There's you don't need to non-attach to everything. If you attach to the idea that you want to serve the world, there is nothing wrong with that. That is a selfless attachment. Which is nice to say, because whenever I think of non-attachment, I think separate yourself from the entire world. But they're saying, no, live your life, be human. Also, let go of the external attachments that you can.
Just keep your intention in check, and that's what Hannah had said.
Yeah,
It
which-
depends on intention.
Which
so.
makes more sense
yeah.
upon further reflection. So she was
Mhm.
trying to say that the intention is so important, especially a lot of yoga. If your intention is, especially in attachments and adjustments, physically and mentally.
In a way, non-attachment is a practice that brings about steadiness of mind.
Yeah,
There we go.
They kind of you could just that could be your practice. Practice on not being attached or letting go of things, categorizing and systematizing everything in your mind, and then donating the stuff that doesn't work anymore. The heart is working when you are selfless. I just like that part. The heart is working. When you're selfless, your heart is working. It's not your mind. When the entire nature sacrifices, why should we human beings alone lead selfish lives? We are here to give, and give, and give. That's 115.
I forgot which one it was.
I think
but
we've
it was
forgotten.
talking about how, in a sense, it's selfish to be selfless.
Yeah.
Because when you're selfless,
It's the best
you're
life ever.
fulfilled.
Yeah. I've told people that a couple times when they say, "What do you do for a living?" I say, "Oh, I teach yoga, and I teach people how to teach yoga because it's wonderful." And they go, "That's so cool of you." I'm like, "No, no, 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 no." I mean, yes, but having a teacher training program and seeing all of you and on a regular basis, like there is definitely, I get a lot from that. Having, to do community service and having an activist portion, like that fuels me. That is, I make decisions based off of what I do from a selfless. And then I allow myself to enjoy whatever comes from it. That's always what am I going to do? I let go of the selfishness, because if you do that, it's never going to feel right. And it's not going to flow well. Yeah. Kind of like when we first met for teacher training. I was like, I'm not sure when it's going to happen. It's going to happen soon. I'm going to wait. Like, I took time. I figured out a spot that works best for everybody. Figured out a schedule that worked best for everybody, that I could physically handle. And now I get to just enjoy.
It's not easy, though.
What?
It's pretty, well, we don't do an hour of yoga and then go off to the spa for an hour and then come back for an hour and go off to lunch,
No, it's a full, it's a full intense.
Yoga journal kind of thing.
Well, and if I had,
Not the yoga journal.
yeah, and if I had chosen from a selfish perspective, right, I would have done a few hours a week on my own schedule. That may or may not have worked for all of you.
Well, some people have done training where it's 2 weekend days, 8 hours each day. I like the way it's spread out a little bit more so we can absorb it. I can't imagine
I don't know.
doing 2 full, my sister
No.
and I did 2 full days on the weekend.
So that, eventually your brain stops working, especially if you have a job or kids. Like, eventually your brain just goes,
Yeah.
Just gonna
I'm
work 7
done.
days.
I am done now.
This
Yeah.
is work.
Yes.
It's
It
work.
is. It totally is work, and it's really emotional work, and you really have to think. But if it had been I try to, whenever I plan what I'm doing with my career, I try to pause and just be open to whatever everyone wants, and then that's how I decide, and that feels the best for me. So I like that one. Feels good when your heart works, and everything kind of, the dominoes go without your effort when you come from a selfish place or a selfless place. Enjoy the world. That's our goal and birthright. Mm-hmm. I love that, all those phrases. Happiness is your birthright. Whatever. We're still meant to enjoy the world. We're not meant to be these things that don't attach to anything. No, we're meant to love. We're meant to grow. We're meant to change. And we're meant to attach to things, but also to serve and sacrifice to others. I like thinking about that humans are the selfish animals, and the rest of the animals and the creatures and the plants are these selfless givers of life, and we're just like, but I want to make more money. What? I'm sorry, what? You're meant to create life, okay? No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
Survive, create life.
Kidding.
Live and die.
I know. But it is worth a thought. Like, well, how much do we give? As women, I feel like sometimes it's a lot. It's a lot. So we got to give to each other as well.
But you also have to be open to receive.
Yeah,
It's a
to fill yourself back up.
You
Figure out
can't
your love
always
language
be a
and let
giver.
people in. Yeah. Yeah, my mom always says, well, who's filling your cup, honey? I think that's really sweet. Who's filling your cup, honey?
Good
And I'm like,
question.
I am. She goes, no, you're not. I was like, no, but I give myself a massage and my feet. And no, honey, who are you spending time with that actually like brings you joy and helps you feel good? Okay. Meditate first outwardly, then more subtly, then on the I feeling. So that's a very basic how to meditate. Start externally, work internally, focus on that I feeling. And that from the sutra, what was it, the 4th one? Yeah, from that 4th sutra, the I feeling, the I-ness, that we are all I.
Capital I.
Yeah, capital I. We are all in it together. Handle the world properly, and then rise above it. That's 19. So handle it. The world is coming into you, and that's a paraphrase of within the story. Handle it, and then move on. So it's not saying don't be attached. It's saying we'll handle our stuff. Unconditioned by time. Ishvari Pranadana is the teacher of even the most ancient teachers. So unconditioned by time, surrender to your God is the teacher of all of our teachers. That's what that's saying. It's the surrender. I think they said, I am thine, all is thine, thy will be done. I feel like that's in many religious books, right? I am yours, thy will be done, your will be done. I know it's in Christianity and Catholicism. But the idea that when you surrender yourself, you can learn. You can learn. There's no difference between religion and yoga. Yoga is the basis of all religions. I just love the idea of going into a church and being like, yoga predates this. Not in a negative way, just to start a conversation. Like, we use yoga all the time. You can too. They do it all the time. They meditate, they pray, they connect to their body, they say things. They're all yogic, practices. They practice non-harm, ahimsa, and we'll learn about that in the next book. That's thou shalt not kill. Contentment is santosha. Thou shalt not covet thy brother's wife. What else of it?
Traditionally, brahmacharya is like,
Moderation, celibacy. Yeah,
moderation.
brahmacharya,
I
celibacy.
don't know about celibacy, but I suppose I was always interpreted as moderation in all things. So
Yeah.
it's just that's what traditionally Christianity and Islam teach.
Yeah, and what about thou shalt not lie? That's speak the truth.
Mhm.
What else? So Ashteya, Satya is the truth. Ashteya is non-stealing. Thou shalt not steal. They all kind of go together. Om is called pranava, which means humming. I just think that's cool. The entire Mandukya Upanishad expounds upon Om. So Mandukya is a story of Upanishad. Can you say Upanishad?
Upanishad.
Yeah. These are the Upanishads, and I brought this in because I thought, well, if it's told us the book is called Mandukya, there you go, it's page 49 of the Upanishads.
And what page is that? Mandukya?
That is 127, so the 27th sutra.
Oh, what's yours? 27.
Okay. Mandukya. Om, with our ears may we hear what is good. With our eyes may we behold thy righteousness. Tranquil in body, may we who worship thee find rest. Om, peace, peace, peace. The syllable Om, and you can sit however you want to, is the imperishable Brahman, is the universe. Whatsoever has existed, whatsoever exists, whatsoever shall exist hereafter is Om. And whatever transcends past, present, and future, that is also Om. All this that we see without is Brahman. The self that is within is Brahman. The self, which is one with Om, has three aspects, and beyond these three, different from them, is the fourth. The first aspect of the self is the universal person, the collected symbol of created beings, Vaiswanara. The second is the universal person in his mental nature, Taijaza. He is dreaming and is conscious only of his dreams. The third is the universal person is dreamless sleep, Prajna. He is without desire, without dreams. Prajna is the Lord of all. He knows all things. He is the dweller in the hearts of all. He is the origin of all. He is the end of all. It's also known as Ishwara, or God. The fourth is not subjective experience, nor objective experience, nor experience intermediate between these two. Nor is it a negative condition, which is either consciousness nor consciousness. It is not the knowledge of the senses, nor is it relative knowledge, nor yet inferential knowledge. Beyond the senses, beyond the understanding, beyond all expression is the fourth. It is pure unitary consciousness, wherein awareness of the world is completely obliterated. It is ineffable peace. It is the supreme good. It is one without a second. It is the self. Know it alone. The self beyond all beyond all words is the syllable Om. The syllable consists of 3 letters, A-U-M. Vaiswanara, the self as the universal person in his physical body, is the letter A. Whosoever knows Vaiswanara obtains what he desires and becomes the first. Taishasa, I'm not saying that right. The self in the mental being corresponds to you. They both stand in dreams between waking and sleeping. Whoever knows Taishasa grows in wisdom and is highly honored. And Prajna, the self as at this dreamless sleep, corresponds to the M. He is the origin and the end of all. Whoever knows Prajna knows all things. The fourth, the self, is Om, the indivisible syllable. The syllable is unutterable and beyond mind, so it's the silence after Om. In it, the manifold universe disappears. It is the supreme good, one without a second. Whoever knows Om, the self, becomes the self. That's the Mandukya Upanishad. Short and sweet.
And what is the Upanishad?
The Upanishads, it's an ancient Indian text from something called the Vedas. The Vedas, I think in our history section it shows the exact year of the Vedas. I don't remember off the top of my head. But the Upanishads is one of the many books of the Vedas that are studied.
Yep, that sounds familiar.
Yeah. Om wasn't invented. I like that he says that. No one invented Om. It's just a thing we've always been saying. Doesn't belong to any religion. It belongs to the entire universe. Truth is one, seers express it many ways. To repeat Om with reflection upon its meaning is a mantra that which keeps the mind steady and produces the proper effect. And this makes me think of you, Kim. So repeating Om and focusing on it is that to keep the mind steady, which is kind of your thing. So if you will, as you think, so you become. Just a good reminder, as you see. It's the same. So when we talk about drishti, and that's one of the 8 limbs, we'll learn drishti, it's focal point. No, it's used in the 8 limbs. Okay. It's an external, unwavering point of focus. So on a physical level, where you see your body goes. So if you were to look down, you're going to fall, right? It's like walking a tightrope. If you look down the whole time, but if you look up and you have confidence and you walk, same thing mentally. If you surround yourself with reminders that you're strong, that you're healthy, that you're healing, that's what you'll think of on a regular basis. And as you think, so you become. So it's the same thing. So you can do it physically, mentally, and in your own head without visual stimulus. But it's called your drishti. The 31st sutra says we must take care of our bodies, movements, and diets, and associations. So your relationships as well. A sickly body can't sit; it will not meditate. So just take care of yourself so that we can achieve that steadiness of mind that we're working towards. This is it's been one of my favorites for a long time. The practice of concentration on a single subject is the best way to prevent obstacles and their accompaniments. That's saying, hey, had a bad day? Pick one thing to focus on and do that. Just focus on that. Don't keep changing your subject. There's no value in digging shallow wells in 100 places. That is very helpful for me.
I love that to focus on one thing is about it being preventative. And that it can be something that you use in response, like you said.
Yeah.
You know, if you're having a bad day, focus on one thing. But
yeah,
the way it's thing is that it's
a proactive.
It's meant to be, it's meant to be proactive and preventative.
Yeah. Yeah, and if we had been taught this as children, the whole thing could be proactive and preventative.
Yes.
But learning it as adults is just it's a bit of both, right?
Yes.
If we think of it. So I already said this, but I think somebody's in the bathroom, so I'll say it again. So the practice of concentration on a single subject is the best way to prevent the obstacles and their accompaniment. Don't keep changing your subject. There's no value in digging wells. Decide on one well and keep digging. But that's not to say that we can simply meditate loudly and not deal with life. So you still need to deal with stuff. It's not to say, I had a stressful day, so I need to focus on one thing and that's all I'm going to do. It's part of what we can do to help calm our minds so that we can deal with the world and rise above it.
Like one thing at a time,
One thing at a time. Yeah. Yeah. So if you were,
not just one thing always.
yeah. I got one thing and that's all I'm working on. No, one thing at a time. So if you're focusing on your confidence and say that's your goal right now, if you were to focus on your confidence for a week and then forget about it for a month and then do it again for a couple days and forget about it, there's no the value is limited compared to you focus on your confidence for the next 4 months. You go to therapy, you talk to people, you do everything that you can to learn about where it comes from and why you are the way you are and why you want to be a little bit different. And then you focus on that until you get it, and then you move on to a new hole.
Yes.
Yeah. I feel like we can all relate to that because there's so many things that there's so many spinning discs we have at one time that we know the feeling of not putting enough effort into one thing because we physically don't have enough energy to. So I feel like it resonates with us. Like, yeah, we should focus on one thing at a time.
There's no way you can possibly.
No, you're gonna something's gotta give, and that's
Yes.
okay. That's human too.
Yes.
Behind the subjects that you study, always remember the goal. I think that's just a good reminder. Always remember the goal. Why do you want to be confident? Well, because you can serve others more powerfully when you are a confident woman. Maybe. I don't know what your real goal is, but maybe. He gives you a few suggestions on what you can meditate to, and then liberally says, do what you want. This is my favorite one, the 33rd, by cultivating attitudes of friendliness towards the happy, compassion towards the unhappy, virtue or delight in the virtuous, and indifference for the wicked. The mind stuff retains its undisturbed calm. So that's saying it retains its undisturbed calm. I might even venture to say it allows you to find an undisturbed calm. So if you're wondering, how am I treating these people? How am I feeling? Find friendliness, compassion, delight, or disregard. Appreciate the virtuous in people and try to cultivate them in your own life. So what you said was finding the little moments of beauty in people, the little angel that they have, and then saying, I want that in my life. It's not covetousness, right? It's delighting it and saying, no, universe, give me more of those experiences so that I can be like that person.
I think life is being open to people and letting
Seeing-
people see your true self and having that exchange.
Yeah. It's beautiful when people let you. In yoga studio, you've noticed, just being here, we let each other see it all the time. Most people don't have this experience outside some of their closer relationships, being able to just show each other their truth.
Or even just complimenting someone, like saying
Authentically.
Just saying something nice to someone can throw them off a little because they're not used to, like, if they don't know you, saying something positive or complimentary.
I find most people find my authentic compliments, they think it's sarcastic, and it takes them a while because I'm so genuinely, I'm just so genuinely complimentary sometimes, and people are like, where's the joke?
No.
I'm like, there is no joke. I just genuinely think you're a beautiful human.
Exactly.
Yeah. I have to work on my delivery. I gotta work on my delivery. Sometimes kindness can be taken as sarcasm, but it's not. The meditation tools that they give you, so the 34 through 37 is watch and regulate the breath, so that's pranayama. Concentrate on subtle sense perception. So he described it as, barely noticing your nose, noticing that space between your eyes. I think of it more also as sensory perception. So notice the light in the room, the feeling of the humidity in the air. Can you taste the last sip of water that you had? Things like that. How does it smell? Like how you were talking about the five senses. It's the same thing. So I'd like to add that in. The other one is visualize a bright, brilliant divine light coming from within your heart. I always loved that one. That's so warming and sweet. The first meditation someone ever taught me was about a golden light in my heart, and I thought she was ridiculous. And I remember making fun of her with my friends. Looking back, I actually did apologize to her because she's so great. Concentrate on a great soul's mind who is free from attachment. That's one that I've kind of been encouraging in my classes lately. More like the virtuous, who do you want to create more of, or who do you want to emulate, but similar. The next two, so concentrate on an experience or feeling you had during a peaceful dream or sleep. Or meditate on anything else that is elevating to you. So I like that he's so liberal. You can pick anything at all.
If that doesn't work, try this.
If that doesn't work, try this. Yeah, it's exactly why I am so drawn to the 8 limbs. Like you've noticed, that's how I teach too. If that doesn't feel right for you, do this. It really does not matter how you express it because we are all, at the base of it, one. Okay, a couple more, then we'll be done for now. The yogi's mind becomes clear and balanced and attains the state devoid of differentiation between knower, knowable, and knowledge. And that together is samadhi. Knower, knowable, and knowledge. So witnessing the behavior, the thought process, and separating it from what you actually know to be true. Samadhi. Can you say samadhi?
Samadhi.
That's the 8th limb. That is the final step. Our habits slowly die if we don't allow them opportunity to manifest. So I like to think of that as watering a seed, like watering a plant. Like if you don't water the pumpkin, it's never gonna make a pumpkin dandy. It's just gonna die. And we can think of that for so what's a habit that you don't like, that you want to get rid of? Well, let go of the attachment you have to focus on it and to give it, to feed it, right? For me, I like wine. I like to enjoy a glass of wine, but I don't give it an opportunity to manifest itself into an alcoholic pattern. If I didn't think about it that way, I totally would, because I would love a glass of wine every day. But I come from a family of addicts, and I know that that's possible, so I don't. I just don't allow it. I don't water it. Last night, I watered my laptop. Prime example of why I don't water it very often. So when the 3 become I, the subject, object, and the process, that's samadhi.
When the 3 become
1, sorry. When the 3 become 1. So the subject of your meditation, the object, the goal of your meditation, and the process itself. Yeah. So this is him, like, theoretically saying this is how we attain this state of bliss. So when they become 1, when you realize that it's all 1. Does that make sense? So what you're meditating on?
A journey. Like the subject is how you start. The journey is the process.
Yeah.
And then the goal being the end. So
Yeah.
when you see that all of that is what's important, not just the journey, not the end, not the beginning. Samadhi?
Samadhi.
Samadhi.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that.
Samadhi.
The beginning, the journey, and the end. Yeah. All those 3 steps. Make the mind pure before you practice deep meditation to experience it truthfully. So the 8 limbs are not necessarily, I don't have a picture for you because I didn't want you to have it in your mind in a certain way. It's not a ladder. It's not 8 limbs of a tree. It's not 8 circles. It's not 8 spinning discs. It doesn't mean that if you can't meditate, you can't practice, or vice versa. So I didn't want to separate it. However, before you go into deep meditation, you need to practice the lighter meditations in order to clear your mind. If you meditate on love, but you're still upset about the political story of the day, that's not going to be a true meditation, right? Because you know that you're affected by it. So I don't want it to scare you. It's not you can do all of that. But before you go deep, clear your mind first.
Sometimes it's easier said than done.
Yeah, and this is all theoretical. Like he's explaining it like, it's hard to say this because you're not doing it right now.
There's just so many stressors and distractions.
Well, and some days it's easier than others, and some days that's why that moving meditation and then sitting and being still can be really helpful. When you're feeling super distracted, move a lot for 5 minutes and then stop and be still and see. It's just the polarity of doing one and then the other is your mind goes, okay, we got this.
I find having a glass of wine would help me with meditation.
Really?
Yes.
I find that alcohol stops the flow of energy for me.
Oh, interesting. Well,
Yeah, but it helps you relax.
if I have one, it helps me relax and it helps to kind of silence the noise. I'm not saying that I meditate after I've been doing it.
But I see what you're saying. You're relaxed.
Try it.
Oh, I'm relaxed after a glass of wine in the tub, so I see where that's coming from.
So, yeah.
The last one is you can know something about the mind in not only the physical sense, but the mental, you can know something without the mind. Without the mind. In not only the physical silence, but the mental silence, wisdom dawns. So that makes me think that through all this, be silent and trust your intuition. Someone once said that you're not learning anything new, you're just being reminded of something that you've already known. It's that ancestral, like we know this stuff intuitively. I'm just giving you a mirror and saying, hey, this is a thing that you know. Remember? So I like that last one saying, when you're silent physically and mentally, you don't have to know it to hear it, but just feeling it in your heart and knowing it to be true is a thing. That's all about trusting your intuition. So if you haven't already finished the Yoga Sutras, the first book, I would finish the first book, and then we'll start reading the second book, and that's the actual 8 limbs, which is really cool. So that's the way you treat yourself, the way you treat others, physical yoga practice, breath, focus, meditation, and bliss. Those are the 8 limbs, and we'll go into actual practice them.
When do you want us to have the
Good
second
question.
book?
Not Saturday. Not a week. You have more time. Soon. Whatever you can.
ASAP.
Yeah. Is today October 14th?
Yeah.
Ew.
Is it the 13th or the 14th?
14.
It is the 14th.
So it's fine.
It is the
Oh, yeah.
14th. Okay, well, for some reason I wrote in the homework sheet to finish it yesterday. We aren't going to talk about it again until 11/11. So October 11th. Let's change the books. The rest of the book, October 11th.
The rest of it? or
The
just-
rest of it.
So 2 and 3?
And 4.
And 4. Okay.
Yeah, I'll just remind you. We can read a bit here and there together. The next book is the most important, though. Well,
Then we'll also have mod 6 done.
They're all
Kind of how
important.
non-attachment is more important than practice.
Yeah. Yes. So next week. Oh, by then you'll have lots done. This coming week, your only homework is Mod 9, the spine for anatomy, and then I would read book 2 of the yoga. Like start reading book 2 this week. That way you feel prepared. But yeah, we won't talk about book 2 quite yet. Let's see.
And so we decided we're doing the 22nd as the additional
Yes.
class.
Yeah, and I'm just waiting on one thing to confirm the schedule. And as soon as I get that response, I'll know for sure by tomorrow. So the